Kim Davis, Kentucky County Clerk, refuses to issue same-sex marriage licenses. Melissa Amos, Queen's University of Charlotte, oral presentation. I will not knowingly or willingly commit any maleficence of office, and will faithfully execute the duties of my office without favor, affection, or partiality, so help me God. This is an excerpt of the oath that Kim Davis, the clerk of Rowan County, Kentucky, took when she was elected to her position in November 2014, an oath to uphold federal and state constitutions and laws. An oath that was violated by her personal views when the Supreme Court legalized same-sex marriages nationwide in June of this year. To quote Davis, quote, "To issue a marriage license which conflicts with God's definition of marriage with my name affixed to the certificate would violate my conscience. I intend to serve the people of Rowan County, but I cannot violate my conscience," end quote. As an elected official sworn to uphold the Constitution and laws, one cannot pick and choose the laws they enforce based on their personal or religious beliefs. I intend to use the theoretical framework of Foucault to understand the systems of thought or sets of knowledge that impact how we produce and see the world, to give meaning to and examine the discursive practices and social effects of the relationship between institutions, power, and individuals, as in this case, where personal beliefs have no place in the decision-making process. Kim Davis is an elected official who has a position of power. According to Foucault, power is the central idea of political discourse and often carries negative connotations of domination. In this case, there is no exception. Davis has used her authority as the county clerk to deny marriage licenses to same-sex couples that has resulted in a federal judge sending her to jail on September 8, 2015, ruling she was in contempt of court for refusing to issue the licenses and not allowing her deputies to distribute them for her. Foucault was interested in sites of power, the forms it took, and how it was exercised. The interrelationship between power and knowledge as being two concepts that are inseparable, both organized and hierarchical within the context of clusters of relationships. At a macro level, the power-knowledge relationship arises from particular societal configurations. At a more micro level, power knowledge operates through the production and acceptance of particular truths. Looking at the situation from a power knowledge perspective, Davis would have struggles at the macro level with the Supreme Court decision to legalize the same-sex marriages, and look to enforce her power knowledge at the micro level as she did with refusing to issue the licenses. The hierarchical relationship between Davis and her deputy clerks showed her ability to exert her power over them by not allowing them to distribute the licenses for her. In turn, the judge exerted his power over Davis by sending her to jail for contempt and not upholding the law. To quote our textbook, the exercise of power creates knowledge, and conversely, knowledge consistently induces the effects of power. This is true in this situation since Davis has exercised her power to deny marriage licenses to same-sex couples in her county. It has sparked controversial debate on the ability to serve the public that she has been elected to serve without violating her religious beliefs. American Civil Liberties Union attorneys contend Davis has no legal basis to avoid performing her duties as a government clerk. Foucault also focused on what he called governmentality, which is what he referred to as the complex institutionalization of government power over populations and the formation of specific government apparatuses of knowledge. In this case, Kim Davis could be seen as the governmental institution that has exerted her power over the population of same-sex couples whom she's refused the right to obtain a marriage license. U.S. District Judge David Bunning states the clerk had a sworn oath to perform her job, just as many other public servants do. He quotes, "Oath means something," end quote, he told Davis. An injunction has been filed to remove her name from licenses issued to same-sex couples, allowing the county to issue licenses while accommodating Davis's religious beliefs. Now, instead of her name attached to the license, it states that the license is issued in pursuant to federal court order. Bunning ordered Davis not interfere directly or indirectly with the efforts of her deputies in those duties, and that, quote, "the appropriate sanctions will be considered," end quote, if she fails to comply with the order. According to our textbook, Foucault's systems of thought determines what could be said, who could speak, the position from which they could speak, the viewpoints that could be presented, and the interest, stakes, and institutional domains that are represented. Simplified, this is how ideas are put into discourse. His analytical approach was to identify, quote, instances of discursive production, end quote, which is the production of power and the propagation of knowledge, looking for meaning and applying rules for what can be said. For Davis, production of power focused on power relations. What is at stake? Her conscience, her beliefs? What are her interests? To protect her beliefs. The resistance to not obey the law. Propagation of knowledge identifies the process of normalizing and legitimizing concepts and theories, using this as an opportunity for her to stand on her soapbox and enforce her beliefs over her duties as an elected official. And filing the injunction to remove her name from licenses in an effort to change the process on how licenses are issued for same-sex couples, to preach and legitimize that she won't enforce any laws that are fundamentally immoral in her eyes. It is not always what you say as it is how you say it, just as it is not always what you do as in how you do it. Davis is entitled to her personal beliefs. No one is denying that. She has a fundamental right to disagree with the same-sex marriage ruling. However, when your personal beliefs interfere with your ability to do your job, it is time to rethink your career path. The relationship between institutions, power, and individuals is not one to be taken lightly, nor to be used as an avenue to promote personal beliefs. Those in positions of authority are legally obligated to serve the people and uphold the federal and state constitutions and laws, and are held to a higher standard to put aside personal beliefs and honor the oath they took when appointed or elected. Foucault's insights challenge us to place the power-knowledge relationship at the center of our thinking. As it relates to the situation in the domain of politics, he helps us to understand the effects of power and the impact it has on producing truths.